Wind River. Today we are discussing the story of a movie named Wind River directed by famous director Tyler Sheridan. The movie is about the wildlife hunter who was involved in solving a case with an FBI officer and hopes to get redemption from his regrets. Movie began with a teen girl running at night in a town named Wind River that is full of snow. Her name is Natalie and she can barely run barefooted on snow to escape from the danger behind. In the next scene, Corey Lambert, who is a wildlife officer, hunting the wild wolf in white camouflage. Corey Lambert is a hunter of fish and wildlife who hunt dangerous animals. Corey goes to his ex-wife where he picks his son Casey and ready to go towards the grandparents of his son. Where we know that Corey had a daughter who had passed away 3 years ago. After that, Corey reached to grandparents of his son and meet them. The chief officer tells Corey that there is a lion that can be a danger to the people living in a town. Corey takes his gun and goes out for hunting. He found footprints and blood in snow. Corey thinks that these footprints cannot be left by an animal, but these are of some man. He reaches a place by chasing the footprints and blood where he found a body of Natalie frozen in snow. He feels upset because he knew that girl. He informs the authority with his wireless and high snow began falling. An FBI agent, Jane Banner, comes in heavy snowfall to investigate. Police chief tells the Jane about the Corey that he found the body and recognizes her as Natalie Hansen, who was missing for 2 days. A police officer and Corey both realize that the Jane is not expert agent because she came without winter suit in this heavy weather. Corey's mother-in-law gives winter suit to Jane, that belonged to her granddaughter Emily, who was died 3 years ago, so she could save herself from cold. Both Jane and Corey go out at death scene, but local police had already covered that area. Jane considers this as homicide case. Jane asks for help to Corey as he knows the town very well. She asks Corey if there is any place for living nearby because that girl could not run barefooted in snow so far. Corey tells her every possible place where she could stay and indicate that footprints show she did not use any snowmobile. Her death can be a cause of frozen lungs from snow. Casey asks from Corey about dead body. Corey tells him that girl lost her path and strayed in snow. Next day, an examiner tells Jane that the body is raped several times, but that was not her death cause as she died of lung failure due to sub-zero temperature. Jane was assured that if this case is not proved as homicide, travel police will be failed to solve the case. So, she convinces the examiner to declare it as a homicide, but he was not happy to change the cause. They go to Natalie's house where they find out about her boyfriend. Her father did not know about her boyfriend much. Corey reach at that spot and solace her father because he knows the pain of losing daughter. Here, Natalie's father talks about his son Chip Hansen, who are currently living with Sam Littlefeathers and badly involved in drugs. He requests Corey to immediately find his son because he has more information about Natalie's boyfriend. Then police officer, Jane and Corey go to Sam Littlefeathers' place to find Chip Hansen. Jane and officer knock the door. Suddenly a boy come with pepper spray in his hand and spray into their eyes. His other companions begin to run from back door. Corey was waiting for them at there with shovel in his hand. He hits them with shovel on their faces and they fell on the ground. Jane tells the Chip about his sister. He began to cry as his sister was his best friend. Corey indicates the Jane about the snow vehicle trails of going but not returning. They feel suspicious and decide to go up there. They find another dead body in bad condition. They also find out her boyfriend's name was Matt. The examiner tells Jane about the second body Hay found at Uphill matches the DNA with Matt. She also informs Corey about the Matt body. Jane goes to Corey's place and find out why he is helping her as he also lost her daughter 3 years ago. Corey advises her to take care of her children because they need them to care. Jane become emotional there. In other morning, Jane, Corey and police are gathered. They confirm that it was the Matt body who was the security guard in oil and refinery camp. Corey tells them The weather is bad and not willing to share his snow vehicle. All of them take another route and travel 50 miles extra to reach on spot by their cars. They met with guards appointed on drill site. They told them that Matt had the fight with his girlfriend and he went behind him. Since, he never came back. Meanwhile, Corey finds out the trails that was coming from the drill camp. He comes to know that the guards are dangerous and they are also involved in murder of Matt. Jane sees the wound on one of the guard face and feels suspicious. She asks them to lead her towards the camp. We saw a flashback about the incident. Natalie comes to Matt at night in his camp. They were happy and sleeping. Suddenly, other guards come in. One of them was fully drunk and he tries to abuse Natalie. Matt become angry and hit his friend. Soon the fight begins among them. Guards were beating Matt and one of the guards began to rape Natalie. Matt hit him badly, then all guards grasp Matt and choke him. Natalie run barefooted to save her life irrespective of how cold is outside. She then died there due to lungs failure. Now, guards and police officers come to the camp along the Jane. She knocks the door and hits with fire of shotgun. She falls back on the ground. She had worn the bulletproof vest on her chest. Guards start firing on police officers. All officers were down and Jane was injured. Corey takes a shot with his gun and kills all of them. One of the guards who raped Natalie and killed Matt escaped. Corey chases him and tied him with rope. The guard confess all and Corey let him go as he promised him. Guard also runs barefooted and barely covers 20 yards. He falls on the ground and die of lung failure too. Corey takes Jane with her to hospital. Jane is alive and thanks to Corey for saving her life. Here the movie ends. Thanks for watching the story.